Hey guys, Spud here, as always, and today we're back in the office of the Mirage F1CE to take a quick look at some of the updates for the aircraft that came with the latest open beta update. Now if you look at the changelog, there were quite a few things changed, but there are definitely some more obvious things that will make your life in the Mirage F1CE a lot easier and more enjoyable. Now the Mirage F1 definitely released in a very complete, very mature state, but there are definitely some issues, like how you interact with the cockpit with your mouse, of course the color of the cockpit being a little bit too dark, which a fix for that is still work in progress over at Argy's, and how you interact with the cockpit via keybinds with your HOTAS, your keyboard, your rudder pedals, etc. Keep in mind guys, with this latest open beta update, you may have had some of your keybinds erased, but not all of them. Kind of weird, I had a few of my keybinds erased for the Mirage F1 with this update, and my rudder pedals were still mapped, but my curves somehow got deleted. So when I tried to take off in the Mirage F1 to test out some of these new updates, I ended up going right off the runway and crashing in a big ball of flames because my rudders were way too sensitive. So with that out of the way, let's cover kind of the big things here. Number one, right off the bat, something that people are really going to notice and is right in their face is in the special options of the Mirage F1, you now have the ability to have your counters for your chaff and flares, as well as your total fuel, reset automatically when you rearm and refuel. Say you come back from a sortie on a multiplayer server, you rearm, you refuel, and you're getting ready to take off, and then you notice, oh crap, I did not reset my fuel levels and my chaff and flare count. Well, now those can be set automatically for you. So let's go ahead and open up the ground crew menu. Rearm and refuel. And let's bring our fuel back up to 100%. We'll go 15 flares and 30 chaff. Another update that came with this latest open beta update for the Mirage F1 is the ability to add Mark 83 1,000 pound general purpose bombs, which definitely makes sense because you were able to add these bombs in the form of GPU 16s to the aircraft, but now we have the ability to just add the straight old dumb bombs to the aircraft as well. So we'll go ahead and hit OK, and the ground crew will do their thing. And if we look down at our fuel counter, and we can hear that slight sound that's in DCS of the fuel flowing from the fuel truck into our wing and fuselage tanks. And we can see our counter is just automatically ticking up as the fuel level in our aircraft goes up.
Refueling complete.
Cool, so refueling is complete, so that's good to go. And now we're just waiting on the ground crew to load up our aircraft with some additional weapons. Feels like they're starting on that side. And those are definitely some Mark 83 1,000 pound general purpose bombs. You can definitely find photos of especially NATO Mirage F1s carrying American-made general-purpose bombs, the Mark 81, 82, 83, and 84 series. The 84 pictures are definitely rare because it's such a gigantic bomb. And there's even some photos out there of Iraqi Mirage F1s carrying the Mark 80 series of general-purpose bombs as well. So that's out of the way, and then we can see, boom, our chaff and flare count just automatically reset from 0 back up to 14 and 30. Unknown why the count always resets to 14 and why we automatically spawned in the jet with 14 on the flares before the update rather than 15 as are actually loaded into the buckets. So you just need to click on this little button here to add one more to get a full 15 on the counter there. Cool. So moving on to another really cool update is the flaps button. Hitting the F key goes in the correct increments, whereas before, when you use the F key to move your flaps, you would go one increment down, another increment down to full flaps, and then when you hit the F key again, it would bring the flaps all the way up, which I actually kind of liked, because when you bring the flaps up, you're usually taking off, and so you just want to reach your hand down there and slap those flaps all the way up. But it's just a difference that you guys should definitely keep in mind. If you're used to taking off in the Mirage F1, pressing that F key and then slapping those flaps all the way up, it's going to be a little bit different now, so you have to hit that F key twice. Another change here is when you select your radios that you want to talk on, whether that's the green radio or the red radio, you actually have an indicator light now that turns on to let you know which one is depressed and which radio you're ready to talk on and interact with the AI on. Of course, whether or not these buttons are depressed does not matter when you're talking on SRS, because SRS allows you to talk on any radio whether or not it's selected. Another thing to keep in mind when using the radios to interact with the AI in the Mirage F1 is the actual push-to-talk button that we can find in our adjust controls here, PTT button, does not actually function yet as the AI radio menu. What we can do is use the slash key. If we need to, say, bring up the intercom to talk to a guy on the ground to rearm and refuel, we want to make sure that both our green and red radios are turned off. We hit the slash key, and then we get main up here, and then we can talk to the ground crew. Hitting the green radio, hitting the slash key, shows us that we're talking on our VUHF Trap 136 radio, which is of course our green radio up here that has the functionality for presets as well as manually loading in a certain frequency. Let's say we want to talk on our red radio that is located back here aft of the radar control stick. Just click on the push button for selecting the red radio, hit that slash key, and we can see we're now talking on the Trap 137 Bravo. So, if you have your easy comms turned off and you're on realistic comms, this is very, very important for you. I highly recommend for any of you guys out there who want to play in DCS World Multiplayer, whether you're doing that now or you're building yourself up to it, turn easy comms off, because that will get you used to making sure that you have the correct frequency dialed into the radios of your jet, so that way you can talk to the correct agency. And that's of course what you'll be doing all the time in multiplayer, talking over SRS. Finally, another fantastic, so needed update for the Mirage F1 is our volume knobs with the very analog systems in the Mirage F1. They're called pentanometers. Are now functional for the radios as well as your navigational systems. So with the new airbase here in Argentina, we've got El Calafate, we've got a VOR station, 11470. So let's go ahead and plug that in. I know you guys are probably cringing right now, thinking, oh man, we're going to have to listen to a whole bunch of ... going on. And we can hear the Morse code from that station. But if we come over to the pentanometer knob over here for the VOR, let's wait for it to start going through the Morse code again. See, we can now turn it down and turn it off. Same thing works for the TACAN for the missile growl, which I found the missile growl to be a little bit too quiet by default in the Mirage F1, so I definitely turn that up now, as well as all of the other volume knobs for radios and so on and so forth. Marker beacons, all that good stuff are now functional and ready to go for you. So now, when you are using those fantastic radio navigational systems in your Mirage F1, you're not going to have your ears bleeding, and you're not going to be hearing the beeps and bonks of the Morse code of TACAN and VOR stations going off in your brain all the time now. So, this is definitely a fantastic update for the Mirage F1, and just makes the jet that much more functional and that much more fun to fly without having to worry about those annoying little bits and bobs of the aircraft. So, big thanks for the update, Arkies, and big thanks for Razbam for filling out the South Atlantic terrain more and more and more. I can definitely see you guys are working hard with making the terrain look better, as well as adding more airfields to make the area more playable. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe, and of course, hit that bell icon so that way the videos are actually delivered to you guys. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.